The message came at midnight. Every screen in the colony flickered. Every speaker crackled with the same words. Humans of Vera 6, you have been selected. The hunt begins at sunrise. Una stood in the control room and watched the transmission repeat. The Krell symbol burned on the screen. It was a claw mark over a broken circle. She had seen it before in news reports. Other species. Other colonies. None of them had survived. Her brother Dorian sat at the communication station. His hands were shaking. He was only 23 years old. Too young for this. They cannot do this, he said. The Galactic Assembly has laws. Una shook her head. The laws do not protect prey species. We are too new. Too weak. The Assembly will not help us. The door opened and Jiwoo walked in. He was the colony's security chief. Before this, he had been a soldier on Earth. He had seen war. He had survived things that most colonists could not imagine. I counted the ships, Jiwoo said. His voice was calm. 2 transport vessels. Based on their size, I estimate 40 hunters. Maybe 50. And we have 300 people, Dorian said. Farmers, scientists, children. Yes, Jiwoo agreed. We do. Una looked at both men. She was the colony leader. She grew plants. She studied soil. She had never held a weapon in her life. But 300 people were looking to her for answers. How long do these hunts usually last? She asked. 2 days, Jiwoo answered. Sometimes 3. The Krell like to take their time. They enjoy the fear. And what happens to species that fight back? None of them have. Una was quiet for a long moment. She thought about her parents back on Earth. She thought about the children in the colony school. She thought about the young couples who had come here to build new lives. Then we will be the first, she said. The next 6 hours changed everything. Jiwoo gathered every adult in the main hall. He stood before them and spoke simply. The Krell are predators, he said. They have hunted other species for 10,000 years. They are stronger than us, faster than us. They can see in the dark. They can smell fear. The crowd was silent. Some were crying. But they have a weakness, Jiwoo continued. They have never lost. They do not know how to handle prey that fights back. They expect us to run. They expect us to hide. They expect us to die. He paused and looked at every face in the room. We will not do any of those things. The colonists worked through the night. Jiwoo divided them into groups of 10. Each group had a leader. Each group had a hiding place. Each group had a job. Some dug pits and covered them with leaves. Others sharpened farming tools into weapons. The engineers rigged the colony's power grid to create electric traps. The chemists mixed fertilizer into something far more dangerous. Dahyun worked on the communication system. He created dozens of false signals. To any scanner, it would look like humans were everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Una went to the greenhouse. She knew plants. She knew which ones were poisonous. She knew which ones could blind. She knew which ones could kill. By sunrise, the colony of Vera 6 was no longer a collection of scared civilians. It was a trap waiting to be sprung. The Krell hunters landed in the forest clearing at dawn. They were massive creatures, 7 feet tall, gray skin like stone, 4 arms ending in claws that could tear through metal. Their eyes were black and empty. Their leader was called Vark. He had hunted 37 species. He had killed over 2,000 prey. To him, humans were just another trophy. Spread out, Vark commanded. Find them. Kill them slowly. Let them scream. The hunters moved into the forest. They were confident. They were excited. This was what they lived for. The first hunter died within an hour. He stepped on ground that looked solid but was not. He fell into a pit lined with sharpened stakes. The fall did not kill him. The stakes did. The second hunter died 20 minutes later. He found a human hiding in a building. He broke down the door and rushed inside. The building exploded. The colonists had filled it with gas from the mining equipment by noon. 8 Krell hunters were dead. Vora could not understand it. His hunters were the best in the Dominion. They had killed thousands. And now they were dying to farmers and scientists. He gathered his remaining hunters. "They are using tricks," he said. "Ignore their traps. Find their leader. Kill her and the rest will break." But finding Yuna was not easy. Do-Hyun's false signals led the hunters in circles. Every time they thought they found humans, they found empty rooms and more traps. On the second night, Jiwoo led his first attack. 20 colonists crept through the darkness. They found a group of 5 Krell hunters resting by a stream. The hunters were not worried. Prey did not attack predators. Jiwoo gave the signal. The colonists attacked from all sides. They used spears and axes and farming tools. The Krell were stronger, but they were surprised. They were confused. They had never seen prey fight with such fury. 3 more hunters died that night. 2 others were badly wounded. On the third morning, Varric made a decision he had never made before. He called for extraction. "This is not a hunt," he reported to his command ship. "This is a war. We need reinforcements." The Galactic Assembly monitored all Krell communications. They heard Vorac's message. They watched 40 elite hunters run from 300 farmers. The news spread across the galaxy within hours. The prey had fought back. The prey had won. On Vera 6, Yuna stood in the ruins of her colony. Buildings were destroyed. Fields were burned. 12 colonists had died in the fighting, but 288 had survived. Do-Hyun found her staring at the sky. The Krell ships were gone. The forest was quiet. "What happens now?" he asked. Yuna did not answer right away. She knew this was not over. The Krell would not accept this shame. They would come back with more hunters, more ships, more rage. "Now we prepare," she said. "They will return. And when they do, we will be ready." Across the galaxy, other species watched and wondered. For 10,000 years, the Krell had been unstoppable. For 10,000 years, being selected meant death. Until now, a small colony of humans had changed everything. They had proven that prey could become hunters. They have shown that the Krell could bleed. And in the halls of the Krell High Command, there was anger. There was shame. And there was a new decision. Total war against humanity. The hunt was over. The real fight was about to begin. The Krell War fleet was the largest ever assembled. 200 ships, 50,000 warriors. Enough firepower to burn a planet to ash. Admiral Taihi watched them on her screen. She stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Ship Unity. Around her, officers worked in silence. They all knew what was coming. "Fleet status?" she asked. 47 ships ready, Admiral, her tactical officer Sunho reported. Another 12 are still being repaired from the border skirmishes. 47 ships against 200. The math was simple. The math was terrible. In the intelligence room below the bridge, Yoonji was studying everything she could find about the Krell. She had been working for 3 months without rest. She had read thousands of reports. She had watched hundreds of recordings. And she had found something. She ran to the bridge. "Admiral, I need to speak with you. It is urgent." Taihi led her to a private room. "What did you find?" "The Krell have never fought a war," Unji said. "Not once in 10,000 years. They have conquered dozens of worlds. No, they have hunted dozens of worlds. There's a difference." Yoonji pulled up her data. Every species they targeted either surrendered or died. No one has ever fought them for more than a few weeks. They do not understand long conflicts. They do not understand supply lines. They do not understand sacrifice. Taihe studied the information. You were saying they have a weakness. They have many weaknesses. They are predators. They think like predators. They expect quick victories. They expect fear. They do not know how to handle an enemy that refuses to break. Taihe thought about this for a long time. The Krell were stronger. Their ships were bigger. Their weapons were more powerful. In a straight fight, humanity would lose. But war was never a straight fight. Sunho, she called her tactical officer. New orders. We are not going to meet them head on. The Krell fleet entered human space, expecting easy targets. They found nothing. Human colonies had been evacuated. Space stations had been abandoned. There was nothing to hunt. Nothing to kill. Where are they? The Krell commander demanded. Find them. The fleet pushed deeper into human territory. Days passed. Then weeks. They found empty worlds and silent stations. Then the attacks began. Small human ships appeared from nowhere. They struck at the edges of the Krell formation. They destroyed supply vessels. They damaged engines. They vanished before the Krell could respond. Sunho coordinated every attack. He had studied the Krell sleep cycles. They rested during specific hours, and their reflexes were slower during those times. Human ships attacked only during those hours. We lost 3 more supply ships last night, a Krell officer reported. Then guard them better, the commander shouted. But guarding supply ships meant spreading the fleet thin. It meant sending warriors to protect food instead of fight. The Krell had never done this before. They did not know how after 1 month, the Krell had lost 40 ships. They had not fired a single shot at an enemy they could see. The commander was furious. We will ignore their tricks. We will go straight to Earth. We will burn their home world, and this war will end. The remaining fleet gathered and pushed toward Earth. This time, they did not spread out. This time, they stayed together. But Taihe had planned for this too. Humanity had spent 6 months preparing Earth for war. Every continent had defense systems. Every ocean hid weapons. The moon had been turned into a fortress. Millions of civilians had been trained. When the Krell fleet arrived, they expected a scared population. They found a planet that was ready to fight. The Battle of Earth lasted 11 days. On the first day, the Krell launched their ground forces. Thousands of hunters dropped toward the surface. Human defense systems destroyed half of them before they landed. On the second day, the Krell attacked the moon. The moon fought back. Hidden cannons tore through Krell ships. Missiles launched from craters. The Krell lost 20 ships trying to take a rock. On the third day, Taihe launched her counterattack. Human ships were smaller and faster. They flew between the massive Krell vessels. They targeted engines and weapons. They worked in groups, coordinating their attacks like a dance. Sunho led one of these groups. His ship was called the Hammer. It was old and patched together from parts. But it was fast, and Sunho knew how to use it. Target their command ship, Taihe ordered. Not to destroy it, just to scare them. The Hammer and 12 other ships broke through the Krell formation. They flew straight at the command ship. Every gun on the massive vessel turned toward them. Sunho did not slow down. He did not turn. He flew directly at the bridge dot at the last second. He pulled up. His ship scraped across the command ship's hull. Behind him, his squadron launched missiles at the bridge windows. The command ship was not destroyed. But its commander saw human ships fly past his window. He saw the determination in their attack. He saw that these prey would rather die than surrender. On the 7th day, Unji broadcast a message to the Krell fleet. It was a recording of every battle. every ambush, every Krell ship destroyed, set to human music. "We are not prey," the message ended. "We never were." On the 11th day, the Krell retreated. They had come with 200 ships. They left with 63. They had come expecting a hunt. They found a war. Admiral Teehee watched them run. Her fleet had lost 19 ships. 300,000 humans had died defending Earth. It was the worst disaster in human history, but they had survived. Unji joined her on the bridge. "The Galactic Assembly is calling. They want to know how we did it." "What did you tell them?" "The truth. The Krell thought they were hunting. We showed them what happens when the hunt becomes a war." News of the battle spread across the galaxy. Species that had been hunted for generations heard about the humans who had won. Some felt hope for the first time in their lives. Others felt something different. The Krell were not the only predators in the galaxy. Other species watched the news and made their own calculations. Humans were dangerous, but they could still be useful. In the dark spaces between stars, the Veth Consortium began making plans. They had watched the Krell fail because they had underestimated humans. The Consortium would not make the same mistake. They would not hunt humans. They would capture them. They would break them. They would make them slaves. On Earth, Teehee stood at a memorial for the fallen. 300,000 names carved into black stone. 300,000 people who had died so that humanity could live. "We won," Sunho said quietly. "Why does it feel so empty?" "Because winning is not the end," Teehee answered. "The galaxy is watching now. Some will fear us. Some will respect us. And some will try to find new ways to destroy us." She looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, new threats were already forming. New enemies were making plans. "We taught the Krell a lesson," she said. "Now we have to make sure the rest of the galaxy learns it too." The hunt was over, but the war for humanity's place in the galaxy had just begun. Minho loved his ship. It was old and slow and made strange noises when it turned left. But it was his. He had worked for 15 years to buy it. Now he sat in a cage and watched aliens strip it for parts. The Veth had taken them 2 weeks ago. His crew of 12. His cargo of medical supplies. His ship. Everything. The Veth were not like the Krell. They did not hunt for sport. They hunted for profit. They captured species and sold them as slaves. They had been doing it for centuries. "Processing will begin tomorrow," a Veth guard announced. "You will be sorted and sold. Cooperate, and you will live. Resist, and you will suffer." The guard walked away. Minho looked at his crew. Young people mostly. Engineers and pilots and cargo handlers. They had families back home. They had dreams. Now they were property. "Captain," his youngest crew member whispered. "What do we do?" Minho did not answer. He was thinking. The Veth believed they had captured a group of scared traitors. They believed humans were like other species. Easy to break. Easy to control. They were wrong. Back on Earth, Ajin received the news. Her husband was missing. His ship had vanished in the outer territories. She went to the authorities. They told her to wait. They told her they would investigate. They told her these things took time. Hajin was 60 years old. She had served 30 years in the military. She had fought in the Krell War. She had watched friends die defending Earth. She was done waiting. She found Sora in a small laboratory on the moon. Sora was 25 years old. She was brilliant. She was also strange. She talked to her machines like they were pets. "I need a tracker," Hajin said. "Something that can find human ships even in dead space." "That is impossible," Sora answered. "Dead space has too much interference. No signal can get through. My husband is out there. Find a way." Sora looked at the old woman. She saw determination. She saw pain. She saw someone who would not stop until she found what she was looking for. "I will need 3 days," Sora said. She did it in 2. Hajin gathered veterans. Men and women who had fought the Krull. People who understood war. People who were not afraid to die. "This is not a military operation," she told them. "The government does not support this. The assembly does not approve. If we fail, we are criminals. If we die, no one will remember us." 40 people volunteered. They took a single ship. Old military vessel. Fast and quiet. They flew into the outer territories where the Veth operated. Sora's tracker worked. It found human signals in the darkness. It led them to a station hidden between 2 dead moons. The Veth processing facility was massive. It held thousands of slaves from dozens of species. The Veth had been running it for 200 years. No one had ever attacked it. No one had ever dared. "Security is heavy," Hajin said, studying the scans. 200 guards. Defense systems on every level. "We cannot fight our way through." "Then we do not fight," one of her veterans suggested. "We sneak." They waited until the station's night cycle. The Veth slept during specific hours, just like the Krull. Hajin had learned that lesson well. 10 people stayed with the ship. 30 went inside. They moved through the station like ghosts. They avoided cameras. They bypassed locks. They found the human prisoners on level 7. Minho heard the door open. He expected guards. He expected processing. He did not expect to see a 60-year-old woman with gray hair and military boots. "Hajin?" He could not believe it. "How did you find us?" "You married me 30 years ago," she answered. "Did you think I would let some aliens take you?" She opened his cage. Then the others. 12 humans free. But they were not done. "The other prisoners," Minho said. "We cannot leave them." Hajin hesitated. Their mission was rescue, not revolution. They did not have enough people to free everyone. But she looked at the other cages. She saw children from species she did not recognize. She saw elderly beings who had given up hope. She saw the work of 200 years of cruelty. "Change of plans," she said into her communicator. "We are freeing everyone." What followed was chaos. Hajin's team opened every cage they could find. Thousands of prisoners poured into the corridors. The Veth guards woke up to a station in revolt. "They are escaping. Stop them." But the guards were outnumbered. The prisoners fought with everything they had. They had nothing to lose. Some had been slaves for decades. They would rather die than go back to cages. Minho led a group to the station's communication center. He was not a soldier, but he knew how to send a message. "This is Captain Minho of Earth," he broadcast on all channels. "The Veth Consortium is a criminal organization. They have enslaved thousands. Today, we are setting them free. If you have taken our people, if you have taken any people, know this. We will find you. We will free them. And you will pay." The message spread across the galaxy. Hajin reached the main control room. The station commander was there. A Veth named Crix, who had run this facility for 50 years. "You cannot do this," Crix said. "The consortium will destroy you. We have treaties. We have protection. You have nothing," Hajin answered. "Your treaties mean nothing. Your protection means nothing. You made a mistake. You took what was ours." She destroyed the control systems. The station's weapons went offline. The docking bays opened. Prisoner ships began to launch. The escape took 3 hours. Thousands of beings fled into space. Many had nowhere to go. They had been slaves for so long that they had forgotten their homes. Hajin broadcast another message. "Anyone who needs help, Anyone who has no home, come to Earth. We will protect you. Over the next 8 months, humanity launched a campaign against the consortium. Not alone. The species that had been freed joined them. Former slaves became soldiers. Victims became warriors. Soros tracking technology found every consortium facility. Strike teams destroyed them one by one. Not just human teams. Mixed teams. Species that had hated each other working together. The consortium surrendered 8 months later. They had lost everything. Their facilities. Their ships. Their reputation. The Galactic Assembly called an emergency meeting. They had watched humanity defeat the Crow. They had watched humanity destroy the consortium. They were beginning to understand something important. Humans were not prey. They were not even predators. They were something new. We invite humanity to join our Security Council, the Assembly announced. Not as members, as protectors. Hajin attended the ceremony with Minho. They were old now, tired, but they had changed the galaxy. Do you think it is over? Minho asked. Hajin shook her head. It is never over. There will always be those who want to hurt others, who want it to take, who want to control. She looked at the assembly hall. Dozens of species gathered together. Some had been enemies. Some had been slaves. Now they were allies. But now they know, she said. If they come for us, if they come for anyone, they will pay the price. Far away, in the dark spaces between galaxies, something ancient was waking up. It had slept for 12,000 years. It had destroyed 40 civilizations before anyone knew it existed. And now it was hungry again. The silence was coming. The colony of Haven 3 had 5,000 people. Families, schools, farms, dreams. When Nari arrived, there was nothing. Empty buildings. Silent streets. Food still on tables. Toys still in yards. 5,000 people gone without a trace. No signs of struggle, her second officer reported. No damage to structures. No bodies. It is like they just vanished. Nari had seen many things in her 20 years of Special Forces work. She had fought the Crow. She had raided consortium facilities. She had never seen anything like this. Check the communication logs, she ordered. Find the last messages they sent. The logs showed normal activity until 3 days ago. Then nothing. No distress calls. No warnings. Just silence. Haven 3 was the third colony to disappear in 2 months. The first 2 had been smaller. Researchers. Scientists. Easy to ignore. But 5,000 people could not be ignored. On a dead world 3 sectors away, Junho was digging in ancient ruins. He was a Zen archaeologist. He studied dead civilizations. He tried to understand why they died. This world had been home to a species called the Torvax. They had been advanced, peaceful, artistic. Their cities had stretched across continents. Now only dust remained. Dr. Junho, his assistant, called. We found something. It was a chamber deep underground. The walls were covered in writing. Warnings, prayers, final messages. Junho, read them slowly. His translator worked on the ancient language. What he found made his blood cold. They came from the dark. They made no sound. They took everything. Not bodies. Not cities, minds. They consumed our thoughts, our memories, our souls. We called them the silence. By the time you read this, we will be nothing. The message was 12,000 years old. Junho contacted Earth immediately. He sent everything he had found. The warnings, the descriptions, the terrible truth. The silence was real. And they were back. Hyungwoo was a diplomat. He had spent his career building peace between species. He had helped end the consortium conflict. He believed that communication could solve any problem. Now, he faced something that did not communicate. We have confirmed 17 disappeared colonies, he told the emergency assembly meeting. 3 human, 14 others. The pattern matches the ancient records. The silence is returned. The assembly erupted in chaos. Species that had only heard legends now faced reality. The silence was not a myth. It was a threat. What do they want? A delegate demanded. They want to consume, Junho explained. He had traveled to the assembly to share his research. They do not eat bodies. They eat minds, memories, everything that makes a being what they are. The ancient records say they absorbed over 40 civilizations before they vanished. Why did they vanish? We do not know. Something stopped them. Or they simply ran out of prey. Nari joined the meeting via communication link. She was still at Haven 3, searching for clues. I found something, she reported. Energy signatures. Unlike anything we have seen. They matched the readings from the other disappeared colonies. Whatever took these people, it was not natural. It was not any species we know. Can we fight them? Hyunwoo asked. Junho hesitated. The ancient records do not say. No species that encountered them survived to tell us how they fought. Humanity faced a new kind of enemy. Not predators who hunted for sport. Not slavers who captured for profit. Something older. Something worse. I continued her investigation. She traveled to each disappeared colony. She studied the patterns. She looked for anything the ancient records had missed. On a colony called New Dawn, she found a survivor. His name was Taesung. He was 7 years old. He had been hiding in a basement when the silence came. They were shadows, Taesung whispered. They did not walk. They floated. When they touched people, the people stopped moving. Then the shadows pulled something out of them. Something bright. And then the people were empty. Nari recorded every word. This was the first direct account of the silence in 12,000 years. Why did they not find you? I was scared. I made myself small. I thought about nothing. They looked for me, but they could not see me. This was important. The silence hunted minds. They found prey by sensing thoughts. Taesung had survived by thinking nothing. But a galaxy could not hide by thinking nothing. They needed another way. Junho returned to the dead world. He dug deeper into the ruins. He searched for anything that might help. In the deepest chamber, he found it. A device, ancient but intact. And next to it, final instructions. The beacon draws them. It calls to their hunger. They cannot resist it. When they come, the beacon releases everything it has gathered. Memories, thoughts, the weight of a civilization. It overwhelms them. It drives them away. Junho studied the device. It was a weapon. But it required fuel, not energy, not material, memories. Someone had to stay with the beacon. Someone had to feed it their thoughts while the silence came. The ancient species had sacrificed their greatest minds to power it. They had saved themselves by destroying their best people. Junho sent his discovery to Hyunwoo. I found a weapon, but the cost is terrible. Hyunwoo presented the information to the assembly. The debate lasted for days. We cannot ask anyone to sacrifice themselves, some argued. We cannot let the silence consume us all, others replied. Meanwhile, the silence continued their work. 5 more colonies vanished. Then 10, then 20. They were moving faster now. They had been hungry for 12,000 years. Nari tracked their movements. She found a pattern. They were moving toward the center of the galaxy, toward the largest populations, toward the most minds. They will reach the core systems in 6 months, she reported. Earth, the assembly homeworlds. Trillions of beings. Hyunwoo worked desperately to build an alliance. Former enemies had to become friends. The Krell, who had once hunted humans, now faced a hunter they could not defeat. The Consortium survivors, who had once enslaved thousands, now faced becoming slaves to something far worse. "We have to work together," Hyunwoo told them. "The Silence does not care about our old conflicts. They will consume us all equally. We stand together or we fall alone." One by one, the species agreed. Former enemies shook hands. Former hunters stood beside former prey. The galaxy was united for the first time in history. But unity alone was not enough. They still needed a plan. Junho worked on the beacon. He studied its technology. He tried to understand how it worked. "The ancient species were different from us," he told Nari. "They could share memories easily. They could combine their minds. We cannot do that." "Then we find another way," Nari replied. "We always do." She thought about Taesung, the boy who survived by thinking nothing, the boy who hid from the Silence by being small. "They hunt minds," she said slowly. "They find prey by sensing thoughts. What if we gave them too many thoughts to track? What if we overwhelmed them with memories instead of hiding?" Junho understood. The beacon does not need one mind. It needs many minds, working together, broadcasting together. It was possible, if enough species combined their thoughts. If the galaxy spoke as one voice, but it had never been done. No one knew if it could work. Nari looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Silence was coming. They had consumed 40 civilizations. They had slept for 12,000 years. Now they were hungry again. And humanity had 6 months to figure out how to stop them. "We need everyone," Nari said. "Not just ships. Not just weapons. We need every mind in the galaxy. Every memory. Every thought." Hyunwoo nodded. "Then we asked them. All of them. We asked them to remember together. The final battle was coming. Not a battle of weapons and ships. A battle of minds and memories. A battle that would decide the fate of every thinking being in the galaxy. The Silence was coming. And humanity was going to make some noise.